The father who never gave up. The day Daniel Carter walked into his daughter's school wearing a faded jacket and carrying a lunchbox he had packed himself. He had no idea that one simple conversation would change the future of his family forever. He was only there because his 8-year-old daughter, Lily, had been struggling with her grades, not with her friends. She was struggling with something much harder for a child to explain. She missed having a family that felt complete. Daniel had been a single father for nearly 4 years. After his wife passed away unexpectedly from an illness, his entire world changed overnight. He went from being a husband and a construction project manager to becoming a father who had to learn everything from making breakfast to helping with homework and comforting a child who cried for her mother. There were nights when Daniel sat alone at the kitchen table after Lily went to sleep, looking at unpaid bills and wondering how he would keep everything together. But every morning, when Lily opened her bedroom door and smiled at him, Daniel reminded himself of one thing. He was her father, and he would never give up. "Dad, are you coming to my school meeting today?" Lily asked one morning while tying her shoes. Daniel looked at the clock and quickly grabbed his coffee. "Yes, sweetheart. I promised you I would, but you have work." Daniel smiled softly. "Work can wait." "You can't," Lily smiled. But Daniel noticed something behind her eyes. A little sadness, a little worry. That was why he made sure he attended every school event, every parent meeting, and every small moment that mattered, even when it cost him, even when his boss complained, even when he had to take extra shifts later to make up for lost time. That afternoon, Daniel arrived at Westbridge Elementary School for the annual parent meeting. The school was filled with parents talking, children running through the halls, and teachers carrying folders. Daniel stood near the classroom door, feeling slightly out of place. Most parents wore expensive clothes, drove new cars, and talked about vacations and private tutors. Daniel just wanted to make sure his daughter knew she was loved. While waiting for Lily's teacher, he noticed a woman standing near the school office. She looked different from the other parents. She wore a professional dark blue suit, carried a designer handbag, and had the confident posture of someone used to making important decisions. But what surprised Daniel was the way she looked at the children. Not like a wealthy businesswoman, like a mother. The woman was Claire Bennett, the CEO of Bennett Technologies, one of the most successful companies in the city. Daniel did not know that to him. She was simply another parent waiting for a meeting. A few minutes later, Lily ran toward him holding a paper. "Dad, look, I got selected for the school art project." Daniel's face immediately brightened. "That's amazing." He picked up the paper and looked carefully at her drawing. It was a picture of a house, a small house with 3 people standing outside. Daniel noticed something there. Was a woman drawn beside him? His heart tightened. "Who is this?" he asked gently. Lily looked down. "That's Mummy." Daniel stayed quiet for a moment. Then he hugged her. "I know she would be very proud of you." Claire, who was standing nearby, we heard the conversation. She looked at Daniel differently. She saw a father who was not embarrassed by emotion, a father who was completely present. Later, during the meeting, Lily's teacher explained that Lily was talented but sometimes became quiet during group activities. "She's a wonderful child," the teacher said, "but she carries a lot inside." Daniel nodded. "I know. I'm trying my best." Claire happened to be sitting at the same table because her own daughter, Emma, was also in Lily's class. After the meeting ended, Claire approached him. "I hope you don't mind me saying this," she said. Daniel looked surprised. "Mind what? Your daughter is lucky." Daniel smiled awkwardly. "I think I'm the lucky one." Claire smiled. "You talk about her like she's your whole world." "She is." Those 2 words stayed with Claire because she understood them. Her own life looked perfect from the outside. She was a CEO. She lived in a beautiful home. She had success most people dreamed about. But behind closed doors, her life was lonely. After her divorce 3 years earlier, Claire had focused completely on her company. She told herself she did not need anyone. But watching Daniel with Lily reminded her of something she had forgotten. Life was not only about achievements, it was about connection. Over the next few weeks, Daniel and Claire began seeing each other more often at school. Sometimes they talked for a few minutes during pickup. Sometimes they shared stories about parenting. Daniel learned that Claire was not cold or arrogant like people assumed. She was simply tired. And Claire learned that Daniel was not just a struggling single father. He was a man who had sacrificed everything for his child. But just when their friendship started growing, Daniel's life became more difficult. The construction company he worked for lost a major contract. The owner announced layoffs. Daniel's name was on the list. When he heard the news, he stood silently in the office, holding the termination papers. His first thought was not about himself. It was about Lily. How would he pay rent? How would he afford school supplies? How would he tell his daughter that things were changing again? That evening, Daniel sat in the car outside his apartment for almost 20 minutes before going inside. When Lily opened the door, she smiled. "Dad, you're home early." Daniel forced a smile. "Yeah, sweetheart." She looked at him carefully. "Are you okay?" Daniel looked away. Because sometimes the hardest part of being a parent was pretending everything was fine. And that night, Daniel had no idea that his biggest struggle was only beginning. The next few weeks were the hardest Daniel had experienced since becoming a single father. He applied for dozens of jobs. He attended interviews. He updated his resume, but every company wanted someone younger, someone with different experience, or someone who could work longer hours. Daniel felt like every door was closing. He continued taking Lily to school every morning, but now he carried a hidden fear. One afternoon, Lily noticed him checking his bank account on his phone. Daniel quickly locked the screen. Yes, are we okay? The question broke his heart. Children were not supposed to worry about money. They were supposed to worry about homework and cartoons. Daniel sat beside her. We're okay. Lily, she looked at him. Promise. Daniel held her hand. Promised, but inside, he was not sure. During this difficult time, Claire noticed something was wrong. Daniel stopped staying after school to talk. He smiled less. He looked tired one afternoon. She found him sitting alone on a bench outside the school. Daniel, he looked up. Claire, hi. She sat beside him. You don't seem like yourself. Daniel hesitated. For weeks, he had carried everything alone. Finally, he admitted the truth. I lost my job. Claire listened quietly. I'm sorry, I'll figure it out. You always say that. Daniel looked at her. What? You always say you'll figure it out, but who takes care of you? Daniel looked away. No one had asked him that question in years. He gave a small smile. I'm a father. I don't really get a choice. Claire understood because she was the same. She had built a company because she felt she had to be strong. Daniel had built a life for his daughter because he felt he had no other option. They were different people with the same loneliness. A few days later, Claire offered to help. I know a few people in construction management. I can make some calls. Daniel immediately shook his head. No. Claire looked surprised. No, I appreciate it. I really do. But I don't want a job because someone feels sorry for me. Claire became quiet. I don't feel sorry for you. Daniel looked at her. I respect you. Those words meant more than he realized because Daniel had spent years feeling invisible, but someone finally saw him. Not his problems, not his struggles. However, life still tested him. One evening, Lily developed a high fever. Daniel rushed her to the doctor, terrified. Sitting in the waiting room, he held her small hand while she slept. His phone kept ringing. Bills, job messages, unknown numbers. He ignored everything because at that moment, only his daughter mattered. When Claire heard about Lily, she came to the hospital. Not as a CEO, not as someone trying to solve problems. Just as a person who cared. She brought a small bag with snacks and a coloring book for Lily. Daniel looked at her. You didn't have to come. Claire smiled. I wanted to. That night, while Lily slept, Daniel and Claire sat quietly outside the hospital room. I'm scared, Daniel finally admitted. Claire looked at him. Of what? Failing her. Claire shook her head. You already gave her the most important thing. What? A father who stays. Daniel looked down, fighting back tears. For the first time in years, he allowed someone to see how exhausted he really was. But the next morning, something unexpected happened. Daniel received a call that was from a company offering him a position, a good position. But there was a problem. The company was owned by Bennett Technologies, Claire's company. Daniel immediately felt uncomfortable. He wondered if Claire had rearranged it. When he met with a hiring manager, he asked directly, was this position created because Claire Bennett asked you? The manager looked confused. No, she doesn't even know we contacted you. Daniel was surprised. The position was real. His experience had earned it. Later that day, Claire found out about the job offer. She smiled. I'm happy for you. Daniel looked at her. I thought you helped me. Claire laughed softly. No, you helped yourself. That was the moment Daniel realized something. Claire was not trying to save him. She believed in him, but then came the biggest misunderstanding. The photo appeared online that showed Daniel and Claire leaving the hospital together. The headline suggested that Daniel, who was using his connection with a wealthy CEO to get ahead. People started making assumptions. Daniel felt embarrassed. He worried about Lily being affected. He decided to distance himself from Claire. When she found out, she was hurt. Why are you pushing me away? Daniel looked down. Because I don't want people thinking I'm with you because of what you can give me. Claire's eyes filled with emotion. And what if I believe you're with me because of who I am? Daniel had no answer. The silence between them said everything. Then Claire whispered, maybe the hardest thing for both of us is believing someone could care without wanting something in return. Daniel looked at her, but before he could respond, Lily's teacher called. There was a problem. Lily had been crying at school. She told her teacher she was afraid her father would leave too. Daniel's heart broke. He realized his fear had started affecting the one person he wanted to protect. And that was the moment he knew he had a decision to make. A new beginning. The next morning, Daniel sat beside Lily on her bed. Sweetheart. She looked at him. I'm sorry. For what? For making you feel worried. Lily looked down. I thought you were sad because of me. Daniel immediately hugged her. No, never. You are the best thing that ever happened to me, but Mummy left. Daniel felt the pain in those words. He held her tighter. Your Mummy didn't leave because she wanted to, and I will never leave because you are my family. Lily smiled through tears. That conversation changed something inside Daniel. He realized being strong did not mean carrying everything alone. It meant allowing people who cared to stand beside you. Later that week, Daniel met Claire at the school. I owe you an apology. Claire smiled gently. For what? For thinking accepting help meant I was weak. Claire looked at him. Daniel smiled. I was wrong. They sat together while their daughters played nearby. Daniel told her everything. His fears, his doubts, his worries about being enough. Claire listened. Then she said something simple. I don't need a perfect person. Daniel, she paused. I need someone honest. Months passed. Daniel started his new job. He worked hard and earned respect from his co-workers. But more importantly, he was happier. He was still a father first. He still packed lunches, still helped with homework, still attended school events, but now he had someone beside him. Claire slowly became part of their lives, not as someone replacing Lily's mother. Nobody could replace her, but as someone who brought kindness, laughter, and support. One evening, Lily watched Daniel and Claire preparing dinner together. She smiled. Dad, yes, I think our house feels happy again. Daniel looked at Claire. Claire looked back at him. Neither of them needed to say anything, because sometimes love does not arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it arrives quietly in a school hallway on a difficult day. Through a simple conversation between two people who were both tired of being strong alone. A year later, Daniel attended Lily's school art show. Her painting was displayed in the center of the room. It showed a family standing together. Daniel looked closely this time. There were 4 people. Daniel, Lily, Claire, and Emma. Underneath the painting, Lily had written, family is not always who you start with. Sometimes it is who chooses to stay. Daniel wiped away a tear because he finally understood something. The greatest gift he could give his daughter was not money. Not a perfect home, not an easy life. It was showing her that love, kindness, and courage could rebuild anything. Life lesson. Sometimes the people who save us are not the ones who fix our problems. They are the ones who remind us that we never had to face them alone. Emotional question for viewers. Have you ever met someone who changed your life simply by believing in you when you needed it most? If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who believes in the power of love and second chances.